You may or may not know, but it's that time of year again. I'm talking about May 1st, the time of year that gas prices start their annual climb as we get closer and closer to the summer. Every year here in the United States, gas prices steadily rise, beginning today on May 1st. According to the official government narrative, this is done to help lower carbon dioxide emissions due to the increase in summer driving from us U.S. motorists. In essence, the federal government is telling oil and gas refineries that they have to alter their production formula and increase or decrease certain oil additives in their gasoline formulas each summer and each winter. Now, this, as you know, during the summer months leads to higher prices for us drivers, but it supposedly also helps the environment. But what about the large corporations that exist and operate here in the United States? I'm talking about those giant corporations that produce coal and chemicals and rubber and tires, plastics, etc. Where are their summer and winter regulations to help the environment? Carbon dioxide emissions from these sources aren't regulated like gasoline during the summer or winter. So some could even argue that these federal government gasoline emission regulations are not about saving the environment at all, but they're all about making more money. Now, to help prove that and help show you that, let's look at a graph from the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, that supposedly is going to show us the main sources of greenhouse gas emission here in the United States. So as we can see from this graph, the transportation industry is leading the way with 27%, the highest of all industries or all sources, followed by electricity at 25%, and as you can see there, industry coming in at 24%. But I hate to tell you this, folks, but normally government numbers are mostly skewed. I mean, industry and electricity have been separated into two different sources of emissions, as you can see. However, they actually could be combined to form roughly 50% of the CO2 emissions. So what they've done with this graph is kind of do a little bit of switcheroo. Again, those two industries could be combined into one industry. And as you can see, that would be 50% of the emissions. If we look at this chart carefully, and if we really look at it as it is being advertised, are we to believe that transportation is really the largest producer of CO2 emissions here in the U.S.? Are we to believe that our cars, automobiles, and vehicles produce more CO2 than these manufacturing plants? Have you ever seen a coal plant and all the plumes of smoke flowing out of there each and every day, all day, 24 hours a day? Have you ever seen a chemical plant, or have you ever driven by one? And seen all the smoke that comes out of there? So that's insane, folks. But that's exactly what the government wants us to believe, that we are the leading problem for any type of climate change or any type of gas price that's rising. Now let's look at one more chart. This is also from the EPA. Now, according to this chart, transportation activities such as driving accounted for 36.2% of all CO2 emissions from fossil fuel combustion. So basically, any fuel that's going to be burned, they're saying that 36.2% of that was from driving. But the big question that we're not asking here, folks, what about the remaining 63.8%? So let's do some quick math here to take a look. So if we take 100 representing 100% and we subtract the 36.2, which is representing the vehicle emissions, we see that there's 63.8% remaining of fossil fuel combustion emissions. So that is the big question, folks. That is the big problem. The other 63.8%, that is what is the problem. So you see, these gas emission regulations are just another game, unfortunately, for you and I, the consumer. It appears to be just another way to separate us from our money and unfortunately help the rich get richer. Now, gas prices are going to continue to rise, as we've seen, due to inflation, the situation that's happening over in Eastern Europe, and with this unnecessary summer gas blend regulation. So what can we do to save some money during this time? Well, let's take a look and see what we can do. Try not to take too many spontaneous trips if you can, and make sure that if you need to travel that you can plan it out ahead of time if possible. That way you get the most bang for your buck. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a doctor's appointment tomorrow and you have a few other things that you need to do. Go ahead and do the other chores either before the appointment or either after the appointment. That way you can save gas and some time. Also, to save yourself a trip from going out to the store if possible, use some delivery services like Amazon, Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco, Target to save yourself a trip to the store. During these times, folks, it's important that we can use every tool at our disposal to save money and be frugal. As prices continue to rise from everything across the board, from food to gas, you name it, we need to be prepared and do what we can to save a dime here or there. Well, folks, that's going to be a wrap for this video. I hope that you were able to learn something from this video. Hope that you can like and share and subscribe to the channel. That way this content can reach more viewers. But as always, I do thank you all for watching, and be blessed.